Wolf, you know, it has been 40 years since President Nixon declared a war on drugs. Now a high-profile panel says that war is unwinnable and that it's time to look at other strategies, including legalizing drugs.
Use of opiates up 34.5%, cocaine use up 27%, and marijuana use up 8.5%. That's according to UN data cited in a new report of the Global Commission on Drug Policy. The commission bluntly says the global war on drugs has been a failure and says it's time for countries to change their policies. Commission member and CEO of Virgin Atlantic, Richard Branson.
Personally, I don't think the United States can afford to keep the drug policy as it is. It's costing them more and more every year to achieve something which you know, where they're just not winning. I mean, they're just not achieving anything.
The commission is made up of heavy hitters: former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan, former Secretary of State George Shultz, former Chairman of the U.S. Federal Reserve Paul Volcker, and various former Latin American presidents. They urge, quote, to end the criminalisation, marginalisation, and stigmatization of people who use drugs but do no harm to others. And they recommend governments experiment with models of legalizing drugs to reduce the power and influence of drug cartels.
Most European countries have tried different policies. They don't consider anymore consumption of drugs a crime. They consider that it's a problem of the health system. They have opened their health system to people so people can go and try to find solutions to their problem.
A spokesman for Hazelden, that operates treatment centers for drug and alcohol addictions, agrees the war on drugs has been a failure and applauds the report's conclusion for treating drug use as a health issue. But the group strongly opposes legalizing drugs.
I can speak professionally as somebody who works for the Hazelden Foundation, but I also know in my personal life that whatever the drug of choice is, when you put that into the mind and into the body of an addict or an alcoholic like me, they lose the power of making the right choices.
The White House Office of National Drug Control Policy did not make anyone available for an interview, but in a statement said, quote, the bottom line is that balanced drug control efforts are making a big difference. Today, drug use in America is half of what it was 30 years ago. Cocaine production in Colombia has dropped by almost 2/3, and we're successfully diverting thousands of nonviolent offenders into treatment instead of jail by supporting alternatives to incarceration.
Now, the White House says drug czar Gil Kerlikowske has been talking about for some time wanting to move away from the language of a war on drugs. Instead, he wants to focus on reducing drug use by 15% over the next 5 years. Wolf.
It's a tough issue. I've been watching it for 40 years, as we say, and doesn't seem to be making any progress whatsoever.